The new giant Tree of Life poster featuring every new Galar Pokemon is available now. Pick one up before Christmas as a gift to yourself or to a friend by using the link in the description, and thank you for supporting the channel, as well as those of you supporting on Patreon, such as the Nerd Therapist. Thank you. Hello, Pokemon Master. My name is Bakuchi and thank you for clicking on this video, and welcome back to the Tree of Evolution. Oh, one moment. Look, I can pretend that my ability to Google things makes me a scientist. For those of you who don't know what the Tree of Evolution is, it's this thing. This is the Pokemon Tree of Evolutionary Life. It started as a... Well, it actually started as a hobby right back when I started the channel. I started putting together Pokemon and wondering how would they evolve if they existed in our world. I then made this video about Lapras and Squirtle and Tirtouga and how they might share a common ancestor, and the idea really carried away with me. So last year, I did every Pokemon. I made a poster, of course, this is what it looked like, and I placed them all on the tree and did research into each and every one of them. Now, I've had a lot of great feedback from you lot, and we have a whole new generation of Pokemon. I've been talking about it pretty much all year, where each of these Pokemon would be placed. And I have had a lot of help, because yeah, there were definitely some mistakes. I mean, number one, I didn't mention Meloetta in the video, although it was on the poster. Chandelure and Castfoam were not on the first edition of the poster, because I forgot them. We have double checked, they are all there now, as well as every single new Pokemon, it's now on the poster. And yes, you can get the poster using the link at the top of the description. If you do, it massively supports the channel, and I have worked with so many artists on this. Here are a list of all of the wonderful artists I've worked with. Most principally has been my girlfriend, Galar. She has spent so much time on this artwork over the last year in creating the tree and making it visually just so much more appealing than last year, making all the improvements she wanted to make, and at times crashing her Photoshop. So I've got to say a massive thank you to Galar. Please make sure you check out these artists and commission all of them for all of your various needs. Because this is a project I've been thinking about for a long time, and it would definitely be wrong of me to not talk about the Pokemon of the Galar region. I've of course had loads of help from Pokemon experts such as yourself, other YouTubers like TrueGreen7 for example, but also Palette University, who is an evolutionary biologist. I've spoken with lots of you who work in the scientists. Of course, Duncan Can't Die is a geneticist, if you didn't know. Sorry, Duncan. So yeah, these people are a lot more qualified than me. I am just really the translator for this information. And okay, no, I'll give myself some credit. A bit of a Pokemon enthusiast. And you know, I'm into the sciences as well. A little bit, a tiny little bit. I can geek out. Anyway, without further ado, obviously you can look at the poster yourself. Many of you will already have it in your possession, and if you do, thank you for supporting the channel. I'm sure you've been wondering, why did I place things where I placed them? Let's talk about, first of all, before we get onto the new Galar Pokemon, what has changed since last time, because there have been changes. So first up, Ninetales, Alolan Ninetales, Delphox, and Alakazam have all been moved into various areas of mammalia life, or mammals. The reason that they weren't there before is because they had Pokedex entries that talk about how they have maybe more spiritual origins, and specifically Ninetales. You know, Ninetales has this kind of mystical origin to do with 7 wizards coming together and creating it, and I think that's just a pokey myth. With this tree, I'm trying to respect the balance between, like, evolutionary science and Pokemon lore at the same time, and, you know, the idea of 7 wizards coming together, it might not be untrue. At the same time, since Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee kind of confirmed that Blue was actually filling in the Pokedex as he went around Kanto, I'm beginning to question some of the statements in there a little bit more, and so with that in mind, I moved them to Mammalia, and that was a request from a lot of you as well. Sableye, based on its origin and inspiration from being a Hopkinsville goblin, which is a famous American alien sighting, I have moved it to aliens. And it's not just the inspiration. There is a lot to kind of lean towards the idea that rock-like life forms came from space in the world of Pokemon. You've got Minior, you've got Lunatone and Solrock. You've got Pokemon like Starmie that are said to have come from space, and they've got these gem-like cores, and Sableye also has rocks in its body. It has these gems for its eyes. So based on that and the inspiration, I felt aliens was more appropriate for it. Trevenant has moved from the ghostly part of the tree over to the plant life part of the tree. I kind of felt that, again, we're going to take that Pokedex entry about Phantom being a lost child, we're going to take it with a pinch of salt and move it in with the plants like Pumpkaboo. Of course, maybe you think they should be ghosts. I mean, make your arguments for it in the comment. A lot of these were very 50-50. And actually, speaking of ghost-like Pokemon, I moved Aegislash, Palossand, and Banette over from the man-made Pokemon part of the tree over to the ghost part of the tree. I'm not quite sure where I'm drawing the line. Because of course Aegislash is a sword and a shield, which is man-made, but then it is also, it is the spirit of the thing. Banette almost definitely has a relation to Rotom in some way, shape or form. There's so many theories about them being linked. There's no reason they shouldn't be on the same part of the tree, but again, not quite sure where I draw the line. And we're going to talk about ghosts again in a little bit. Lurantis has been moved in with the plants and away from the bugs. That was something that was immediately kind of my attention was drawn to by you guys. Macargo is not really a mollusk. It's not really a snail. Instead, it's kind of a volcano. If you look at all its Pokedex entries, the way that they talk about the blood, it's magma-like blood, and the fact that it has this hot core and then it has this crust around it, it's almost like a mini planet. So based on the biology, I'm moving Macargo away from the mollusks and in with the rock creatures. And actually, I did the same thing for Steelix. I decided it was more a creature composed of rocks that resembles a snake than an actual biological snake. But again, you might want to dispute me on that. Let me know in the comments. Again, these creatures, they are Pokemon, they are kind of made up, so there is no right definitive answer. Whimsicott and Slurpuff have been moved to a similar part of the tree. This along with the new Pokemon Alcremie and Eldegoss, and that's because these Pokemon are all based on cotton candy and sugarcane, which does come from plants. Also, Slurpuff, I think, yeah, more related to Alcremie than it is to the dog Pokemon. And Alcremie also has plant matter on it, so I imagine that these sugar-based creatures are probably somehow related to the plants of the Pokemon world. Lapras, I moved Lapras. It is now a Plesiosaur, which is what it is based off of, as opposed to a turtle like Squirtle or Tirtouga. While it was a nice theory and a really fun video to make with that animation, I think ultimately we decided that we should be a little bit more true to its actual origins. That places it alongside more of the dinosaur-like Pokemon, Serpentine-like Pokemon. You know, Gyarados, that kind of thing. Both Exeggutor and its Alolan counterparts, I have moved away from the dinosaurs and into the plants. I kind of had this theory about Alolan Exeggutor being the original and how it's kind of like Tropius and Meganium, which are dinosaurs, but actually I decided it was more plant-like. Speaking of theories, Woobat and Crobat have been moved to Mammalia. They are based off of bats, and while there was this wonderful theory about how they might be related to Aerodactyl, ultimately I decided the theory doesn't hold up. They are bats. They should go on the tree. Which, by the way, we've tried to make the tree, certainly Phoebe, the last shaman, has made the tree a little bit more accurate with each individual branch representing a closer fit to where the Pokemon should go. There were some Pokemon, like Torterra, that have basically two origins. Torterra is half turtle, half ankylosaur, and it is entirely up to you where you place it. I left it in with the turtles, and another Pokemon that was like this is Slacking. Slacking can be seen as either a gorilla or a sloth, and it is entirely up to you where you put it. There is no right answer, there is no wrong answer. Again, getting a consensus from people, it seemed to be pretty 50-50. So, for the sake of having a sloth on there, I decided to put it on the tree, which actually puts it close to, Heatmore, which is an anteater. And anteaters and sloths are closely related. Samurott is an otter, but is still pretty close to where it was before. Chesnaught is now a pangolin instead of a rodent. I was basing it on Chespin, which is really weird because every other Pokemon I was basing on their final evolution. And yeah, Chesnaught is an ancient kind of pangolin, so related to both the Sandslashes. And Absol we decided was more feline than canine. And that is not it. The other big change you'll notice on this poster is that legendary Pokemon no longer branch off in the same way. We decided the cool thing to do would be to have them as constellations in the night sky. At the end of the day, they are legendary Pokemon, and while some of them do have relatives, like we've put Diancie, for example, right next to Carbink where it should be, ultimately, legendary Pokemon's origins are supposed to be a mystery, and so we put them and the Unknown and Wobbuffet, that is theorized to be related to the Unknown, we decided to put these Pokemon just out there in space as constellations. This is personally my favorite way of doing it. Obviously, we still have the kind of creation arc at the bottom with Arceus, Dialga, Palkia, Giratina, the Lake Trio, and you can see how the Lake Trio would be related to Mew. And also, we gave special highlight to Zacian, Zamazenta, and Eternatus because they are the new legendaries. But aside from that, it is up to your interpretation as to where they would go. Right, speaking of the new legendaries, shall we move on? Time for the new Pokemon. This is that episode, and if you want to know why I've placed all of the other Pokemon where I have, again, there is a whole playlist you can check out. There's actually one video that is the whole playlist combined. So those are all the changes. Feel free to check out the super long video and view this as an extension, an amendment with every new Generation 8 Pokemon. Right, let's start off. Grookey's evolution, clearly a gorilla. That's easy enough to place, actually, as is Scorbunny's as a bunny. Place it right next to Diggersby and Lopunny, or even Inteleon, which is a chameleon slash basilisk lizard, which they can run on water, which is really cool. Anyway, it's a lizard. So as much as you might think, oh, it's related to Greninja, no, Greninja is an amphibian. Woodoo's evolution is a goat, of course, is a sheep. It's related to Skiddo and Ampharos. Corviknight, of course, very closely related to Honchkrow. And Greendon is a squirrel. I do not love this Pokemon, I'm not gonna lie. It's a squirrel. Anyway, it's a rodent. Usually I would place that close to Pachirisu, but because Pachirisu is part of the Pikachu clone part of the tree, I've decided that rather than all of these Pokemon being the result of convergent evolution to look similar, that is a new branch within the world of Pokemon. So that's where Morpeko goes as well. Eldegoss, we've already talked about as a plant-like Pokemon. Also, now related to Ninetales and Delphox, we have another fox Pokemon, Thievul, which nearly is like, it's definitely got fire-like inspirations, as in fireworks, but it is not a fire-type Pokemon, but still related. Boltund, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, still getting used to the names, is the evolution of Yamper, and that is of course an electric dog. You can obviously see how it might be closely related to Manectric, who also exists in the Galar region. Alcremie we've covered, there's the new Ladybug Pokemon, obviously closely related to Leodin. Ledian? That's been out since Generation 2, I should really know what that is. Dreadnought. It's a turtle. It's a tortoise, rather. Obviously, it's going right next to Blastoise. It's going right next to Tirtouga. That is where it belongs. Hatterene is a new witch-like Pokemon, and I suggest it's probably closely related to Gothitelle. Makes sense, and it's part of that kind of more sprite, fairy-like part of the tree. Barraskewda is obviously a Barracuda, and it would be closely related to Lantern. Cramorant is right up there with its cousin Pelipper. Again, some of these are really easy to place. Some of them will not be so easy to place. We have Sandaconda, which of course is a snake. Putting it right up there next to Dunsparce, which might as well be a ground type. I'm sorry I got it wrong that one time. Can't believe I got that wrong. Again, been out since Generation 2, I should know this. Clearly not a Pokemon expert. Poltergeist, it's a ghost. So of course it's going to go into the ghost part of the tree, which has been drawn very differently, and I love it. We have Roly-Coly's evolution, Colossal. And the thing I'm going to say about Colossal, at first I thought maybe it belongs in with the other rock-bodied Pokemon, and that is totally possible. It might belong there, and this is one of those more controversial ones. I'd love to know what you think. But I also can't help but think it looks so clearly like Rhyperior. Like, they look like they're supposed to be related to each other, and Rhyperior is so clearly related to Nidoking and Nidoqueen, so I've actually put it next to Rhyperior, in with the mammals. Again, this is a case of convergent evolution, where two creatures across the Pokemon world have evolved similar traits, even though they're not related. But then again, I put Steelix in with the rock-bodied Pokemon and not in with the snakes, so really you can have it either way. The new elephant evolution, Copperaj, I don't want to pronounce it wrong, I don't know. The new elephant Pokemon, clearly a relative of Donphan. Though the fact that it's all steel type, I don't know, maybe it should be, again, one of those rock creatures, but I'm pretty sure it's related to Donphan. Impidim's final evolution, Grimmsnarl, again, that's definitely in with all the pixie-like Pokemon. Toxtricity, this one was hard to place at first, but I realized that in one of the past trailers, we saw it by the lighthouse, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's an amphibian based on the deep ones, and so that is where I have placed this Pokemon. I think that's Toxtricity, or some early beta version of it, at least. They do look just ever so slightly different. It's very interesting. Of course, we have a new moth Pokemon, Frostmoth, which I love, which looks like it should be related to Volcarona. I'm almost kind of surprised that it and its pre-evolution aren't just Galarian forms. And there's Centiskorch, which would obviously be, you know, closely related to Scolopede. That's another one I can't pronounce. These bugs, bugging me. Bugging me. We have a new octopus Pokemon that would be related to Octillery, and we have Duraludon, which looks really like it should be related to Gigalith, and again, it's a metal-bodied Pokemon. There's the new Sea Urchin Pokemon, which means it's now a relative of Pyukumuku, and they are very similar in their design, and Indini, which is, again... Wait, Indini? Indeedee? Indeed, it's a goat. It's got goat horns. It's a goat thing. So again, right up there next to Skiddo, or Skiddo's evolution, go. One of the more controversial ones, not sure about this, is Stonjourner. It seems to be brought to life from ancient runes, and to me that really reminds me of Golurk and Claydol, and so that is where I have placed it, in with the man-made Pokemon. I'm not sure this Pokemon is natural, but that is just my opinion, and I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. Flapple and Appleton are a branched evolution and obviously live in with the Dragon Pokemon, and are obviously closely related to each other. We have a new Ice Penguin, so that's obviously going to go next to Delibird, that's Iskew. And then just 3 more Pokemon, and these are possibly the hardest ones to place. I say 3 more, actually 7 more. I'm going to start off with the 4 fossil mutant creatures. Now, if we knew exactly what these creatures looked like before they were revived and pieced together with bits of each other, then I would go ahead and I would place the Arctic one where I think it would go, and the electric one probably in with the dragons, and the dinosaur one in with the dinosaurs. But we don't have that. The Pokemon that we get are half of one creature, half of another. And so for that reason, I'm actually placing them in with man-made Pokemon, because they're not natural. They're half of one creature from the tree and half of another part of the tree, and that is not something that exists in evolution. It is a hybrid, but of a very dramatic proportion. More so than you would see in our world with like a Liger, for example, where they're pretty closely related lions and tigers. This is honestly an abomination, and they are all man-made abominations. On top of that, we've got Phalanx, and Phalanx is kind of one creature that is a bunch of creatures, a little bit like Execute. And Phalanx, I don't know. It definitely reminds me of the caterpillar from Mario, especially Mario Odyssey, when you take control of it. They look like pretty much exactly the same. But then when Phalanx separates into its different bit, like is it a fairy, is it a sprite? I placed it in with the caterpillars, but I tried looking through the Pokedex, and I couldn't find anything to convince me where it should go one way or another. Perhaps I will change my mind soon, so you're going to have to let me know in the comments. And the one that I'm the most convinced I might have put in the wrong place, the one that totally makes me want to rethink how we've done ghosts with the tree, and that is Dreepy's final evolution, Dracopult. I have put it in with the Dragon Pokemon. However, according to Dreepy's Pokedex entry, it talks about how the Pokemon has been reborn. In that sense, it is kind of a ghost, and they are all ghost types. I don't know whether to think that these Pokemon should belong with the ghosts, or whether they should belong with the dragons, or whether they are dragons that are reborn, and that means that they're fine where they are. And actually, with a lot of ghost Pokemon, I should try and associate them with their living life forms. For example, Gengar could very well be a Clefable's shadow, and so maybe Gengar should be in with mammals splitting off from Clefable's branch. Or maybe ghosts shouldn't work like that. Corsola and Cursula, for example, it makes sense to me. They're regional variants. They should definitely be placed next to each other. But then Cursula is supposedly a dead form of Corsola that hasn't survived. So maybe Cursula should be on the ghost part of the tree. Oh, actually, speaking of which, we have regional variants, and obviously I have placed all of them right next to their regular counterparts. And that is it. That is all of the changes that I've made, and that is every new Pokemon. Now, if you want to get to know these Pokemon better, please check out this poster, the Evolutionary Tree. It is available for sale right now, and every single sale helps me out massively. It helps keep the channel going in the years that there aren't new Pokemon games going on, and it honestly inspires me to keep thinking about the world of Pokemon. I do suggest getting the A1 version, the Gigantamax size, because it just shows off the details so well. I think that The Last Shaman and all the other artists have done just an absolutely phenomenal job. I am so proud of all of them. The Last Shaman, especially to you. You've done so much, and thank you for all of your help. If anyone here wants to commission The Last Shaman or any of the other artists, Acidic, who has done the majority of the individual Pokemon arts around the tree, the constellations were done by The Last Shaman, or any of the other art that have been done by a number of other very fantastic, talented artists, please reach out to them for your Fakemons, for your Pokemon team commissions. These people are all willing to help and are just absolutely incredible at what they do. I hope you enjoy the new poster. I hope you enjoy many hours looking at it. I hope you've enjoyed this very much longer video. Deep dive into the Pokemon of Galar, how they evolved from all the other Pokemon in the Pokemon world, and of course, all of the corrections from last time. And heck, maybe there's something wrong now. That's never a bad thing. They always say in science, discovering that something is wrong is never a bad thing because it allows you to reevaluate and relook at the things that you thought were true before. This is part of the process of discovery. So with that in mind, help me discover in the comments. I will see you all very soon with another video, and of course, soar high, Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master!